What is percussion in ambient music? Percussion in ambient music is subtle rhythm that complements the music. It's generally softer sounding percussive instruments that are used, such as bongos, hi-hats or rim shots. This can change depending on the tone or sound or vibe you want for the song. Percussion is measured in bars, beats and beats per minute, BPM, most common being 120 beats per minute, and time signature, the most common being 4/4, which we're using today. The same note system is used for percussion, meaning that percussion sounds can be played at a full bar to a 30-second note value. It can be anything in between that. In traditional pop and rock music, a drum kit is the main percussion instrument, where in ambient music it's generally more subtle elements such as shakers and hi-hats, but elements of a drum kit such as the aforementioned hi-hats and cymbals can be used as well. I'm going to try and make today's tutorial as universal as possible, so we're only going to be using shakers, hi-hats and rim shots today. I'm now going to show you pattern 1 with the rim shot and hi-hat, and afterwards we'll go on to pattern 2 with the 2 shakers. I'm now going to show you how to make these patterns. So I'm going to show you some basics of percussion just now. I've set this project settings to the exact same that we have in our loop. So that's 4/4, 90 BPM in the key of C, and we're on bar 1. So I've just selected a drum kit here, and we're just going to add a clip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and here we have what's called steps. These are your note values that I was talking about in that kind of abstract introduction. So 1/4 is quarter note, that's the most common one. 1 bar is just 1 bar, so it'll look like that and it'll last the entire bar, as you can see. Whereas a half bar, it will last half that amount of time, and you'll notice a pattern here, it drops by half every single time. Except these, which are triplets. I'll get into this in a more sort of advanced tutorial, but to be honest, I rarely use these. So for our first exercise, we're just going to be in quarter notes, and we're going to go kick, snare, kick, snare. It'll sound something like this. So what we can do here, since that does sound quite basic, we can add some hi-hats. So just add 4 closed hi-hats and you get still kind of basic, so we can change note value this time. We can change these hi-hats to 8th notes instead. And now it sounds something like this. We can add some open hi-hats as well. Generally I like adding my open hi-hats just as the snare plays. So it would be here and it would sound something like this. So for our first loop here we have 2 sounds. We have a rim shot and we have a hi-hat, which is an open hi-hat I think. And our pattern is in 16th notes, but if we set it to 8th notes it will look exactly the same. But if we did that in 8th notes, it would look something like that. But in 16th notes, it looks like this, which is a lot clearer to see in my opinion. So it looks exactly like this. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So for our shakers, we're using 2 shaker samples. You can usually find 2 samples in a default drum kit in your DAW for shakers, so you can get the same sound that I have here. So we're doing some note variation. So we're doing 2 16th notes here, then 1/8 note here, 1/8 note here, 1/8 note here, and 1/8 note here. Another one here, 2 more 16th notes here, another 8th note here. We go along a little bit to bar 2. We have an 8th note there, 8th note there, 8th note there, 8th note there, 8th note there. Another 8th note here, 2 16th notes here again, and an 8th note here, and you'll get something that sounds like this. Again, you don't have to follow these exactly, you can just use the principles which I've given to you and you can make anything you want. So you've finished your first ambient loop, let's hear what it sounds like all together. So that's the tutorial for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Next time we'll be going on to some mixing and arranging, and after that you'll have made your very first ambient loop.